I am really pumped that Ken McBride came over to the PRC today. So we were doing some other culture bites, and we thought, hey, why don't we do one of the Between the Chairs episodes? So, hey, it's awesome to have you here.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks for coming. It's always nice to come up and just see the people that we see on Teams meetings all the time. And we just have such a great organization. But it's helpful to build relationships when you're in person. So I love being here.
You know, never would have had a need to pause and say, like, oh, it matters to get together. But it just makes such a difference. Mm-hmm. It's life in this headquarters is actually occurring again. We've got senior RDOs hanging out next door, so if you hear some background noise, that's them doing a strategy session, and it's just great having that kind of human vibe again.
You can almost feel the momentum is palpable. It really is. You know, I haven't been up here in a couple months, and you can tell the difference. It's exciting times.
Yeah, it's awesome. What our topic's going to be, Kent was here, and it just occurred to me because Kent, you can just tell, he is a great individual. I love how you approach life. I love how you approach our partnership. I love how you approach our culture. And I can tell that you're intentional about physical wellness, about mental wellness, and that is something that we wanted to bring in and do a discussion on our podcast around, because I believe in dentistry, it's one of those kind of silent things that you don't think you need to be intentional about. But the profession is kind of a grind in a lot of ways, and it can wear on you physically, and it can wear on you mentally. So I thought, what better person to talk to about this than you?
Well, thank you. It's something I'm passionate about talking about. You know, if we're not taking care of ourselves, we can't take care of our patients or our families. And so, but you're right, dentistry it's like the death by 1,000 paper cuts. It's not, you're not going to have one incident usually, either mentally or physically, but a lot of times it's very draining and wears on you as a person. And if you can't keep up and find what fills your cup and find what makes you get out of bed and excited each day, you're going to have a challenging career.
It's tough. I'll say a couple personal things that I've experienced. And I don't know that they're necessarily directly from dentistry, but early in my career, it would be 4 years into the profession, I needed back surgery. I had a ruptured disc. I didn't even know that I had disc issues, and I woke up one day, complete ruptured disc, and had to get surgery within 24 hours, had numbness of my left arm. And the neurosurgeon, you know, when he was doing the exam, he asked what I did, and I said I was a dentist. He said, "You guys keep me in business." And it's, you know, it was a joke in a lot of ways, but it was also, it's real. I can say just how many friends, colleagues in the profession have had back issues. Mm-hmm. You know, some get to the point where they may need true surgery. Others, it's just a nagging thing that goes on. So there's the posture, there's what we're doing over that, you know, day in and day out, whether you sit or stand for your procedures, the 1,000 paper cuts, the 20 patients you see a day, the 10 patients you see a day, every day. I mean, those things can, you know, they can put a tax on your core, on your neck, on your back, on your eyes. Mm-hmm. And do you experience like...
Totally. I had a similar situation. I ended up with shoulder surgery a couple of years ago, and wasn't caused by dentistry, but dentistry sure didn't help it. But what was great about that process was going through the PT and everything that I did afterwards really encouraged me to like get my act together when it comes to my physical wellness. I've always worked out, but I've never like really dove in and said, all right, as it relates to dentistry, how do I need to keep myself healthier? And so just the exercises, shoulder exercises, very much similar to for what I needed for my shoulder to helping dentistry, because we're hunched over like that, and so just opening, like doing anything you can to open up, and you know there's tons. Maybe we can link in some links to show people some exercises to do.
Idea.
But I've started within the last couple of months, just every single night before bed. I just take 10 minutes. I get in my room. The lights are on dim. It's just like this. In this safe environment, the kids are asleep, and it's quiet. Sometimes I even play spa music. I know it sounds crazy, but like it helps me go through my stretches and get into this process of getting to sleep. I sleep better because of it, and that's something we haven't even talked about is quality sleep. But going through that process right before bed to stretch and then get good sleep has really helped me.
The stretch, I think, is... I never appreciated what stretching, I incorporate kind of 3 things now that I never did before. One, yoga. Yoga just seemed like that thing you didn't have time for. Yeah, you do it on vacation on a beach or something like that. But yoga really is. It's stretching, but it's very intentional. It's very kind of specific exercises, even 10 minutes. I tend to use the Peloton yoga team or instructors, and I think they're simple, they're easy. You can do it alone. You don't have to feel embarrassed. It's just, but really what you're doing is changing that posture from this to upright. The other is rolling. I do that same type of thing, but instead of just the stretches, I incorporate those foam rollers, and I mean, it's almost painful how much, just kind of putting some pressure on a muscle might be. You would never think of it, but, rolling. And then the third thing that's kind of around, the stretch mindset is those like pressure guns, or I'm not sure, like there's a number of different brands.
Yeah, Theragun's a popular one, yeah.
Ones that just kind of beat you up your thighs, your quads, etc. Just find them all to be really helpful.
Yeah, I just wish I could reach my back, like right there behind my right shoulder with it.
A spot, right? There's always, they got to put one like on a wall, so you just like. Right.
I can't tell you how many times I'd come home at night and I said, Sarah, can you walk on my back? And then she'd just, do a couple laps up and down my back. But I agree with that, and massages too, obviously, feel great. I've been trying to get those a little more regularly.
That is an investment actually that's worthwhile, and time and money is get a regular massage once a month or once every other week.
Super helpful, for sure.
You also, I know you're an athlete. You do different types of races. I don't think that the recommendation is, hey, everybody kind of devote this amount of time, every week. I think it can be customized but I think it would be great for you to kind of talk about how, physical wellness is a part of your life.
Yeah. It just sort of always has been, just through sports in college and high school. But then it turned towards, from being competitive sports into more just health and wellness, type of exercise. And
just a lifestyle.
A lifestyle. I tend to need some kind of competition to keep me honest and keep me accountable. But I'm actually, honestly, that's one of the things I'm trying to work on this year, is to say, how can I continue to be consistent with my exercise and not need that competition to spur it on, and have it be more of a, I need to do this for me. And it's been a game changer. Just to have that time, an hour a day, to go out where nobody needs you. You can just, push yourself, whether it's no matter what type of exercise you're doing, put some headphones on or nothing, and just push yourself.
I think, so what I'm taking from that is, that time to yourself. But I think what it is more than anything is, if you are going to incorporate physical wellness into your life, the routine of it is a big part of it. At least it was and has been for me. It's so easy to kind of slide out of a rhythm and get out of it because it might feel like a discipline. But finding a way to kind of create a routine. I'm biased to the morning side. I think that if you can get it, involved, if you can wake up intentionally at a certain hour, I just think it sets up the whole day really well. Sometimes it's just not possible. Maybe you have an early start for other reasons. But so one recommendation, I think, for all of the doctors is really think about how could you structure your life to kind of create a routine. Because whether you're just starting your career, your mid-career, your late career, it has to be a key component. It's so easy to say, oh, because I put all of this time in at work, I don't have time, or I have family or other professional responsibilities. But it is something that is going to come back and haunt you, for one, so it's a preventive measure, but the physical stress that our profession, I think, does involve is something that just needs that balance back to be able to support that.
Making it a priority is super important. There are things, and not that I'm a fan of procrastination, but if you say you don't exercise today, you don't get that day back. If there's an email that needs to get sent, you can do that the next morning. But that's just if you don't prioritize it, something will always fill that spot.
It's just like that resolution that you kind of put out there at the beginning of the year and then it just falls off. It's the habits. One book that I read, I think it was called Atomic Habit. It's just kind of taking a goal and breaking it down into habits, and then that habit becomes routine. So kind of getting into some sort of routine, I think, is essential. And you mentioned a good night's sleep, but it actually, your routine always starts from the day prior. If I kind of wind down my day at 6, 7, whatever time I'm starting to taper off and get the next day set up, and then also start to get things ready so that if I can sleep by 10 o'clock, I know that, I'm going to be on pace to get up at 5 and be able to do my thing. If I sleep at 11:30, you're already starting to eat into the next day. You're cheating yourself, of either sleep, or you're cheating yourself of the workout.
Yep. That same book, I love that book, and the concept of habit stacking is in there. Do you remember that? Where it's just something that you're always doing every day. Brush your teeth. I hope we're all brushing our teeth every day. But stack something on top of that. Every time you brush your teeth, set out your workout clothes for the morning. And then that way, if you just stack that on top of something that you're already doing, it makes it so much easier.
Clicks. The other part of this that I think is probably the best thing to include is physical wellness. I think there's programs out there. And I guess before we even leave physical, it doesn't have to be something that is a 6, 7, 10 hour a week commitment. It can be 20 minutes a day. It could be 3 hours a week commitment. Anything is going to help. And just ensuring that you do start your day. And if you start with that goal of, hey, let me get 10, 15 minutes in of stretching and rolling or some yoga, you can always kind of add something into it. Or, hey, I have 30 minutes today. Going for a walk is something that I would never discount. I mean, a walk may not seem as beneficial as it actually is. I mean, people that walk or hike, it doesn't have to be, hey, I'm going to sign up for a marathon tomorrow or something like that. Just make sure that you're incorporating something.
We preach preventative dentistry and how valuable that is. The exact same thing goes to our health. We invested a lot of time and money in our educations to be able to take care of patients, and it doesn't take a lot of physical maintenance to help us be at our best physically to be able to care for people.
So let's kind of pivot. Physical wellness and mental wellness are so directly linked in so many ways. If you aren't, if you don't have the stamina to kind of get through a day a week, of course that can wear on you. But on the flip side, we're in the people business. We're also doing procedures. We have to stay cutting edge. We have to stay caught up. We have to lead our teams. We have to lead our patients. We want to balance family life. There's just a lot of different elements to that. Not to put any blame to the profession, but just kind of life in itself. There's a lot of challenges and stress that occurs. So how is it that you approach that? I mean, what do you think about the mental wellness as it relates to the profession? How do you handle it personally?
Yeah, and I'll be honest, early in my career, I didn't handle it well. And maybe it was because I was too self-centered as I was younger and, still maturing, which I'm still maturing. But there was a point about 7 years into my career where I was burned out. I'm an endodontist, so root canals all day long. Even if I tell somebody in an elevator, it's like, ugh, And so you find your identity is this just person who just likes to hurt people, and because that's what everyone thinks. And so, it was a good 7, 8 years into my career before I had an epiphany, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go in. And I think it was leadership and self-deception, honestly, that did it. Read that book for the first time, and I said, I'm going to stop thinking about this interaction from my patient interaction from a lens of what's my experience going through it, and I want to think about it from the lens of the patient and say, what's the patient? What led the patient up to this point? Why are they saying the things they do? Are they in pain? What was their childhood like? Does their dad love them? It's just all these things that are going through, and that was the impetus to allow me to really find fulfillment mentally from a professional standpoint. And then it translates into how do you treat your teams and
empathy for them.
Right.
When you approach it as less about how is that centered around me, it's how can I serve that person, that team.
But another part of that doesn't get talked about enough is just how we have to be on all the time. We're like you said earlier, and we're as if we're theater cast members having to just put on a show for our patients, for our teams. I mean, even if we're going out into our community at dinner, you have to show up with this level of professionalism, or you're supposed to, right? I mean, it's you feel like you can't be authentic. And my approach to that was just like, you know what, I am who I am. Like, I love myself, and I'm gonna.
Vulnerable.
Yeah, I can be vulnerable. I can be authentic. And when I finally said, you know what, I'm almost like I don't care what anyone thinks. I'm just gonna be me. That was when it really turned for me mentally to be able to not feel like you have to really just be putting on a show. You can say, hey, to your team, you can say, I'm not having a very good day today. And then, you know, but we still need to show up for our patients. We still need to provide them with a 5-star experience. And can you help me? And it's amazing how the team will rally. You know, my best friend died last year, and it was like, I was not myself. I'm still not myself. I'm still not at my full mental game, but there are days where I think about that all the time, and I can't be as happy-go-lucky as I once was or as I am on some days. But it's amazing when the team can rally around you, something like that, and it's like really very, it's exciting and fulfilling.
It's, you know, you kind of brought up something that is just real. You know, we have a lot that I think there might be pressures outside, but there's also pressure that I think we put on ourselves. I think as dentists, there's almost a perfectionism component to it. We deal with millimeters and fractions of millimeters. There's delivering quality care. There's also delivering a quality experience to the individuals so that they felt like, you know, they got the customer service along with the medical care. You know, and there's pressure, you know, dynamics, team, there's a lot that's gone at us, you know, through the pandemic, et cetera. So I think that what I heard there is be vulnerable, but also just kind of give ourselves a bit of a chance just to breathe and realize that, you know, all of that pressure, I think the pressure you put on yourself is more of a stress than is necessary. And we do have a team. One, if you're part of our organization, there's a community here. Sometimes we still end up funneling ourselves not into just the island at your own practice, but your own self, you know, so making sure that you're leaning is on your own team members at the practice to support the patient care, but the broader team too.
It's true. And depression, you know, it's such a big deal, you know. Mental illness and suicide in dentistry is too prevalent. It's too real, and I think my encouragement to anybody who's listening to this is please say something. You don't have to live in that world. There are people who love you, and if you call me, put my cell phone number on the screen. I don't care. You're like somebody, just talk to somebody because it's dangerous and it's a slippery slope, and I've been there, and it takes help to get pulled out of it.
Exactly. The help, I think, is the key component. Is don't go it alone. Like there's a lot of different ways and avenues that you can go. So, and I also kind of would go back to one other intentional part is that routine again. You know, there's my ideal start to a morning, and it can never get all of these things in, but you know, you wake up, you get a minute to kind of have self-reflection, devotional, whatever that might be for you to start your day kind of in that mental place to kind of go in, however it is that kind of quiet time might be able to benefit, and then get into something physical. I mean, that's an ideal kind of ways to kind of mental start to the day, physical start to the day, and then go ahead and kind of attack it from there. But however it is, whether it's that, hey, at the end, put on some music and stretch and kind of incorporate both, finding some way to incorporate intentional efforts to that, I think would be a recommendation I'd have personally. I'm certainly not the expert of either physical or mental wellness, but it's something that has, I think, benefited me.
For sure, I totally agree with that one. The starting the day routine, I mean, it's exactly like we start our meetings with gratitude. It's the same concept, right? It puts your mind in the right place. It's saying, no, I'm not going to let today happen to me. I'm going to control today. I'm going to take control of the way I show up and the attitude that I bring to today. It's really helpful.
There's a lot that we can't control. So,
Right.
one thing you can is you can control how you process something, or how you attack that, or how intentional your own mindset is to something.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of those topics we want to kind of build on this physical and mental series. I think this is a great kickoff to it. One, I also want to give Kent gratitude. It was 3-4 days ago that I got a call, and you're doing a pretty amazing thing to support a friend of yours at the Ultra Mont Blanc tour. It's like 105 miles and as fast as he can do it.
Right. Yeah, so an ultra marathon, and I think what's exciting, I paced for him one time. I did 45 miles, and I was more sore than I've ever been. And people say, why would you want to do that? And it's like, you don't really know until you go through it, and to see what it takes to push your body to that limit, and how that translates to life is just game changing and mind blowing. To say, like, I've done that. I've gone to the depths of pain, the pain cave, and come out of it. And like, anything that comes my way, I'm gonna get by it. There's a Latin term called amor fati, which means love of one's fate. To say, like you said earlier, you can't control what happens to you. You can't control, but you can control how you react to it, and you can control, what kind of how you respond.
I love that way to kind of put a challenge out there. And well, what he called me about 4 days ago is we're going to use that opportunity where he's supporting his friend in that ultra marathon, where we are going to get the chance over 5 or 6 days to do the tour of Mont Blanc. I'll happen to be in Zurich. I was like, hey, this is either going to not work at all because it's right over top of my board meeting, or it's going to time perfectly because I'll already be right in that neck of the woods. So we're going to get a chance with Spencer as well. Yep. And potentially Aaron, and we are going to get to do that over several days. But what I'm looking forward to more than anything is not just the event itself and the challenge and trying to overcome it. It's the journey to start getting ready for it, to start to put a routine together, to do something new that's kind of neat and exciting, and then hopefully be able to have fun in it, but overcome the challenge. And then you come out the other side with just this whole new kind of exhilarated mindset.
It's true. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a challenge for sure, but
it's going to be great.
It's been on my bucket list for a long time, and if we don't do these things now, when will we?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for joining us. We'll kind of build on this series. It's a key element for everybody, and just 2 takeaways from the podcast today: physical wellness, mental wellness. I would just incorporate some routine to be able to be intentional about both. And I think that the stretching is probably one of the most important components. It's something that we have to show up day in and day out. It's going to take a toll, so be proactive.
Doesn't take long, just a few minutes.
All right, thanks guys. We'll see you next time.